Brian Baldinger joining us now from Brazil. Baldy, how was traveling down to Brazil? How's it going?
It was a good flight, night flight out of Miami. Got in here this morning. Really, just like you want a flight, pretty, uneventful. But it was good. It was a good flight, and nothing but Eagle fans on the plane. I didn't see many Packer fans on this particular plane I was on, but ran into a lot of fans, NFL fans here at the hotel down on the beach right now.
Man, I'd love to hear it. Football kicks off tomorrow, then you've got that game on Friday. And the Broncos are starting this week off with some news that they have agreed to a $96 million record-setting contract with Pat Surtain. Baldy, when you heard that news, what's your first reaction to such a big deal for Pat?
Well, I was happy. I like Patrick. I built a relationship with him, even going back to his Alabama days. I knew his father pretty good when he was a Dolphin and coming out of Southern Miss. So I kind of knew the family. But I'm happy for him. He's had a good start to his career. Obviously, the Broncos still have money, even though it seems like, purse strings are tight. But, what they said was, Patrick's going to be a cornerstone to this franchise going forward. And we want him to be a part of it. And I don't know about you, but I didn't hear any sort of news in that area all summer long. So for it to get done here, where he doesn't have to think about that for a long time, that's a good thing for Patrick.
It's interesting that he got so much guaranteed money. I think about 80% of it is guaranteed. Is that concerning at all? Or because it's Pat Surtain and we've seen 3 years of him playing and he's been great in all 3 years, is it just as simple as like if you can save a couple $1,000,000 off the total by guaranteeing so much, you should pull the trigger and do it?
This is something that probably was negotiated pretty hard between him and his agent about that. There's always a concern. Obviously, there's a 100% injury rate in this league. Mm-hmm. Everybody gets hurt. It's a question of how quickly they come back or if they miss time. For Patrick, he's basically been healthy. But if I was the owner, I would always be concerned about giving out guaranteed contracts. We're seeing more and more of them. We're seeing more and more guaranteed money to the players, which is good for all the players. But it's just something that you're going to have to bite if something does happen down the road.
Mm-hmm. Baldy, I know you played a little while ago, but when you played, did you ever imagine a time where every guy that got a new contract would be signing a $100 million contract?
No, not even close. I mean, it's just the economics have just changed so much, but they're generating so much money. It's one of the reasons why they're playing down here in Brazil. They're just growing the game internationally, and there's so many more income streams from when I played. But nobody ever, you were at the mercy of the team. Nobody got guaranteed money. You got whatever signing bonus you could get, but it didn't come everywhere clear. It never came close. I don't care who you were at that time. John Elway, didn't matter who you were. Nobody was getting anywhere near of the guarantee that they're getting right now.
Baldy, you just mentioned John Elway, and Bo Nix this morning did something that John Elway wasn't even able to do. He was named a captain as a rookie this morning. That's the first time a Broncos rookie has been named a captain since Floyd Little in 1967. Just how rare is that for a rookie to be named a captain, and how much does that speak to what Bo's been able to do in just a couple of months in Denver?
It says a couple things. One, he must have great leadership ability. You're not just giving that guy the position because he's a starting quarterback. Because there was a competition up, and they probably decided after the second preseason game, certainly after the third, that let's give the starting quarterback. A couple of things. One, he must truly have great leadership position. Otherwise, you're not going to put a guy in that leadership role if he doesn't have that. Number two, it's a young team for the most part. It's a very young team. So, okay, who are your leaders? As young as they might be, especially on offense right now. And then thirdly, I can't think. I've kind of seen some of the captains that have been designated this year. The Giants just came out with their group. They've got some young players. The Rams have some young players that are captains this year, Kobe Turner. But they don't have any rookies that are captains. It is an anomaly. It doesn't happen often. I can't think off the top of my head. The last rookie I can remember, I'm sure I'm forgetting, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head where a rookie is the captain.
That is interesting. I think across the board, the Broncos captains were fairly young, with Pat Surtain becoming a captain for the first time. Quinn Miners is also a captain, which is interesting because Mike McGlinchey was the captain last year, and he's still around. Garrett Bowles not a captain. What do you think of giving a guy like Quinn Miners, the 24-year-old, and I think he is the youngest starter in the room. I think he's younger than Wattenberg. Is it strange to give him the captain patch over, all the older guys around him?
He's their best lineman. And they proved it this summer when they gave him a new contract. He's their best lineman up front. I like having a lineman as a captain. I like a guy, every good offensive line has it's a pecking order. They have their alpha male up front. He might start the fights in practice. He might finish the fights. He might get the party started on a Wednesday when everybody's dragging. I like a lineman to be the captain. I like a guy down there in the field, somebody not the quarterback, that is in the trenches, that just can feel the pulse of the game from where he's at right guard, and then take that sort of leadership off the field. What happened on the drive? Why we didn't finish it? Why we did finish the drive? I kind of like it. I mean, Sean had two great guards when he was in New Orleans. Both of them became the two highest paid guards in football, and one was a captain and one was up for Hall of Fame this year. So I think Sean looks at certain positions of leadership to be leaders. And if they are that guy, then they get that C on their chest.
Baldy, we're talking about captains, and I feel like captains really shape your team and the energy and the tenacity they play with. On defense, we have two captains that are first-time captains, Pat Surtain and Alex Singleton. How do you feel like those two captains will reshape the Denver defense?
Well, I mean, Alex, I've known Alex a long time. He started here in Philadelphia as an undrafted kid. All he does, honestly, is just make tackles. I mean, he doesn't come off the field. He plays every snap. It never seems like he gets hurt. Like, he's probably going to call the defense. Like, that's a good guy to be a captain. It just is. It's not like he's playing first and second down. He's out there every play, and he's performing. And so is Patrick. These matchups with him and Devontae Adams, you go through the division. Week 1 against DK Metcalf, and some of the guys he's going to see. Like, I don't know, Patrick doesn't look like he shies away from any of these matchups. So, I don't know, I want a guy that walks the walk when it comes to playing, but he seems like a natural to me.
Baldy, you talked about this week's matchup, Broncos going into Seattle to play the Seahawks, and for over a decade, the Seahawks team was pretty much the same with Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. Now both of those two obviously aren't there. Kind of a new era in Seattle. What should the Broncos expect from this team? How good is this Seattle Seahawks team led by Mike Macdonald? And are they taking a step back? What type of game is this?
No, this is a talented team. Mike Macdonald comes in. I don't know. We might see it tomorrow night when Baltimore plays Kansas City, how much they miss Mike Macdonald and his ability. He did it at Michigan. He did it at Baltimore. They led the league in fewest points, sacks, turnovers last year. It's a difficult scheme to pierce. You really don't know what they're doing. Man zone, matchup zone. You really don't know what they're doing until the snap. Now, there might be some growing pains there too. This is not easy to learn in a couple of months. So there might be some growing pains. But what really interests me is the hiring of Ryan Grubb and of Washington's offensive line coach. They came together. And when you talk to Geno Smith and you talk to guys now, even Michael Penix Jr., they'll tell you that some of the concepts that Ryan Grubb has now as the offense coordinator are things that some quarterbacks, Geno's been in this league 12 years, he's never seen. It could be formations. It could be motions. There's going to be things that this defense is going to see that they might not have seen. And if you watch Washington, I'm sure we all did, especially in the playoffs last year, they're a deep ball passing team. And they got three guys, Jackson Smith and Jigba and Lockett and DK, that can go get it. They were, under Pete, they were tight end based. They were run first. They'd have three tight ends on the field more than any other team in this league. You're not going to see that. You'll see a lot of 11 personnel, out there. I think you'll see a tight end and three receivers and one of those two really good backs that they have. So it's going to look a lot different. It's going to be a lot more wide open than anything that we have seen from Pete Carroll in the past.
the Seahawks missed more tackles than all but 2 teams in the NFL last year. They put an emphasis, it seems like, on being more physical in camp. You know, there's stories about all the fights that happened. There was the one day where there were like 5 fights. They're not tackling the ground, but they're hitting a lot harder than it sounds like most teams in the NFL are. Can a team just all of a sudden show up the next year and solve that problem because they bring in a Mike McDonald, or is that something that just takes more time to solve?
Well, I mean, I think Devin Witherspoon could be the best tackling corner in all of football. Maybe he's too aggressive sometimes, but I mean, that guy is a straight dog. He's some kind of player. He was at Illinois. He was for most of the season last year. Look, you know, Tariq Woolen last year went backwards. He got benched. His rookie year, he looked like a guy that ran a 4.28 at the combine, you know, coming out of University of Texas, San Antonio. He missed tackles last year. His eyes were in the wrong place. He got benched. But I believe this is a talent. He's a big corner. He's 6'3", and he can run like the wind. I think they blew out both safeties last year, Jamal Adams, Quandre Diggs. They've got new safeties. Julian Love is in there right now. I think they have addressed the secondary. Now, you got to go do it. I usually see a lot of bad tackling week 1 just because nobody has really done it. Nobody has really played a lot in the preseason. Nobody's tackling in practice outside of maybe Kansas City. Maybe Baltimore, just a couple teams I've seen and Pittsburgh, teams I've seen who tackle in practice. But tackling is fundamentals. It's technique. It's running through. It's keeping your eyes up. It's not dropping your head. I mean, there's fundamentals to it that can be addressed. My gut in watching Baltimore, I just went back and watched the AFC Championship game last week, is they were a very good tackling team in Baltimore.
You know, Baldy, I do think that this Seattle Seahawks team is a pretty good team, and everybody's excited for the Broncos to, you know, start their season off and Bo's career off, and they're hoping for a win. Now, if they get the win, I know that everybody's going to want to crown Bo and start sizing Super Bowl rings, and we're going to have to tell them to hold their horses. But do you feel like if they get a win on Sunday that it is a good sign that they will probably have more than their 5.5 wins that they are projected to have?
Totally. And I know win or lose, I mean, it's all about week 2. I know all the cliches. We all do. I do think, though, when you have a new coach, you know, not a new coach, but I mean, the second year here where there's 5 rookies that made this, you know, this offense. It's 5 or 6 rookies that made it, including Frank Crum. So when you look at this roster, it's very, very young, especially in offense. I think a young team, the more they win, however they win, the confidence grows. They don't know what it's like to lose 2 games in a row. Like, Bo doesn't know that feeling in the NFL. He didn't do a lot of that, you know, at Oregon. You know, teams that get off to rough starts lose a lot of games like Denver did last year. Like, to the veterans on this team, if they get off to a start, unlike what they did a year ago, it's going to say, okay, it's you know, we're coming. We're here. I don't know what the win total, I don't think anybody's thinking about win total if you win week 1, but I think Seattle's a formidable team. And so it's a quality win. Anytime you have a quality win against the, you know, a team that has a lot of good talent on it, that's a confidence builder for any team. But for this team and a rookie quarterback, I think it's huge.
All right, Baldy. So, final question. Will the Broncos get that confidence boost? Will they go into Seattle and beat the Seahawks in week 1 this week?
I think they have a good chance. I really do. Not just because of the question, Zach, but I think they could go to Seattle and win this week. I think, you know, it's not easy putting a new offense, a new defense, you know, all together. And really, you watch the preseason games. I didn't see any of their starters out there. So to go out there and now, okay, let's just put this together week 1. I think and look, that crowd can be crazy. The atmosphere is nuts up there. But they also are a crowd, like any crowd, that reacts to good football and, you know, scoring points and all that kind of stuff. And so the longer they go where they might struggle a little bit, the better it is for Denver to be able to put drives together and be able to execute. So I think they have a good shot of going up there and pulling this off. I'm anxious to see Bo in that atmosphere and how he handles it, how they handle it. But if there's one coach that knows how to go up there and do it, I think it is Sean.
Boom. I love it, Baldy. Thank you so much for joining us from Brazil, too. You enjoy your time in South America and look forward to talking to you next week. Safe travels and enjoy the game on Friday night.
Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it, man. I can't wait to watch all these games. So I'll have this thing digested by the time I talk to you next week for sure.
Oh, I love it. We're looking forward to seeing you on Friday in Brazil and then talking about the Broncos game next weekend. Awesome insight from our guy, Brian Baldinger.